We've got a lot to talk about. He literally Fort Knox to say I can no go without my check monthly, okay? Now be getting dragged so bad on social media, said everybody well, after he just recently announced that he was going to be doing and telling his side did she gonna continue to have problems, he worth the no waffles that's got hairs in her bank account, you stole her money. And you gave it to a hoe, the one you love, okay, at this point. We can all agree that Kevin would do everything just to bring Wendy Williams down. But what is it with this guy that is seemingly obsessed with Wendy? If you think that we've already talked about everything that we can about this past couple, then you're wrong. Ever since the start of Kevin and Wendy's relationship, fans have been on lookout for Kevin to make mistakes. I mean, these people knew that Kevin is up to no good, and he was just in it for the money. These people already knew that something was up with him, yet Wendy still stayed with him. She stayed with him, even though she knew about his affairs. And she was aware that he was a serial cheater. Well, all along her fans were actually right about their perception of Kevin. He was actually just a gold digger trying to take credit for Wendy's success. When we all know that she was pretty established even before he entered the picture, one thing that made a lot of people wonder is the fact that Wendy knew about Sharina and Kevin, and she just allowed these two to betray her. What is worse is that they were also using her money for their own extravagant lifestyle. So what could have possibly happened? Because of this, Wendy's fans were led to believe that there is actually manipulation that happened. These rumors are not new, as many sources have come forward to talk about this as well. Where do you see Wendy going from here? I'm gonna keep telling my window. That's the last question. We cannot deny the fact that although Wendy was already dealing with Graves' disease, Kevin played a huge role in ruining Wendy's life. Let us start with her illness. As we've already mentioned it anyway, people started worrying about Wendy's health. When she suddenly passed out during one of her tapings for her show, she dismissed this by saying that she was just probably dehydrated and that the studio was very hard. But she later on revealed that she is battling with Graves' disease already. From there, she was seen in a lot of public appearances where she was having a hard time walking on her own. She was obviously struggling. And she's always been talking about her condition. Since then, she was still together with Kevin when she found out about this. But at the same time, she was not only having a hard time with her physical health, as she was also struggling from alcohol dependence. She openly talked about this as well. Many were even shocked when she did. She explained on her show that she has been in a sober house, and no one else knew about it except Kevin. Kevin was the only person who could have helped her go through her substance abuse. But guess what? He did nothing to make her better, and instead took advantage of this chance to shower Sharina, his mistress, with Wendy's money. Come on, what kind of person does that anyway? Wendy and Kevin's son even talked about this. It was also revealed that Kevin was actually the one pushing Wendy to work, even though she already needs to take a rest. One source even claimed that Kevin was very controlling of Wendy, which reached a point where Wendy does not even have friends and has no constant communication with her own family. That is all because Kevin was insecure. Additionally, he must be worried that when his family would tell her to stop giving my money to Kevin. Of course, Kevin could not afford to lose Wendy's, and she is the one who brings money in the family. But before we get deeper into the video, if you love Wendy Williams and want to be updated about the latest happenings in her life, then make sure that you subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet. Whoever else is in the talk show game and doing what they got to do. And I'm going to say this with pride and passion. And my ex, Wendy Williams, and the team that was behind us. And I mean the whole team that includes my current lady now, and our sons in Miami. So I have to be calm on the phone with him. You know, like a loving mother, I have to be happy on the TV every morning. Live from New York. Now going back to our video. As I've mentioned earlier, Wendy knew about Kevin and Serena. Imagine she let it pass and endured Kevin's betrayal for more than 10 years. Yup, you've heard that right. Kevin and Sharina's affair has been going on for 15 years before Wendy finally decided to call Equips Wendy finally decided to leave Kevin when she found out that Serena was already pregnant. For her, the affair was one thing, but a baby is a whole different conversation. When Wendy fell for divorce, she immediately had Kevin fired as a producer in The Wendy Williams Show. Since then, Kevin never worked again, as he was completely reliant on the alimony that Wendy sent him anyway. When Wendy unraveled the truth about Serena and Kevin's child, she had a relapse, and she was rushed to the hospital. She could have made real progress if Kevin did not do that to her, since she was in a very vulnerable state dealing with her alcoholism illness. And the divorce process fans believe that Kevin took this opportunity to once again control her. I mean, if she was in the right stage, she would not possibly agree to pay Kevin a huge amount of alimony. But Kevin and Sharina were both very greedy. They were both opportunists and are always after Wendy's money. Wendy's health really declined because of this, but it did not end there. Since her health was at risk, she had to take a break in breath. Because of this, she was unable to film for her show, and different hosts had to take her position on her own show. This eventually led to the cancellation of the show, and the time slot of her show was already given to another host, of course. This must be sad news for her, knowing that she gained so much influence and fans through that show. Fans were also sad about that news. But maybe it was for the better, actually. The situation has proven to be on Wendy's side in the end. This became her key to finally stop giving Kevin and Serena the satisfaction of spending her money. As we all know by now, Wendy was no longer sending alimony to Kevin, of course. Kevin was unhappy when this happened and immediately filed a case against Wendy. He claimed that Wendy breached their divorce settlement agreement. But before we get into that, let us first talk about another problem that Wendy had to deal with because of her physical and mental health issues. Remember that Kevin might not have caused her to have Graves' disease, but he did not do anything to help her recover from her disease and alcoholism. He turned a blind eye because he was obviously benefiting from Wendy's problems. Since Wendy is not really in her best state, her bank decided to deny her access to her own account. Wells Fargo stated that they have the grounds to believe that Wendy is not of sound mind to make any financial decisions. It must have been hard to not have access to your own money. Please let me have access to my money. This is not right. And again, this is not fair. Lori Skiller and Wells Fargo have this guardianship petition about keeping me away from my money. This is not right. And you know this is not fair. Because of this, Wendy needed to have a financial guardian, actually.